Well, let's return now to Sussan Ley's leadership. I want to bring in Liberal MP Tony Pasin. Tony, it's good to catch up again. Thank you for joining me. I guess it's not a matter now of if, but when she goes right. Does Angus Taylor challenge tomorrow, do you think?
Well, you're right, Danica. The reality is with the coalition primary vote stuck in the teens, we've got a situation that's completely untenable. The sense I get from my colleagues is they want this brought to a head and they want it brought to a head quickly. And quite frankly, that means it has to be resolved this week. And I'm hopeful that the actors in this drama can play it out swiftly so that, as you've been saying with your previous guests, we can focus on policies, not personalities, because I don't agree with a lot that Holly just said, but what I agree with completely is that we need to focus on a policy and a suite of policies that can interest the Australian people and stop talking about ourselves.
Well, just on that point, so if you, even with a new leader, you've got to put the right policies in, but you also need a leader who's going to take charge and actually make some critical changes, be that Conservative voice and make a difference so that the party isn't Labor light, for lack of a better word. Is Angus Taylor the right man for the job in your view?
In my view, Angus would make a fantastic leader who meets the criteria you're talking about. The Liberal Party needs a leader on its centre-right. Our best leaders have always come from the centre-right, and we need to get down to the hard work of working on a set of policies. The best moment we've had from the Coalition and Liberal Party's perspective in the last 9 months was when we resolved to dump net zero. That was hard work that was done between colleagues, and watching Angus Taylor and Andrew Hastie walk into that room together to achieve that outcome, in my view, was the high point. And we need to get back to answering the questions that Australians want us to on immigration, on cost of living, on the cost of energy. These are the things that people will focus on, and these are the things we need to release into the community after we've done the hard work, which I'm sad to say, absent net zero just hasn't occurred.
Look, I agree with that point, but the other issue is, of course, the moderates in the party. I mean, you mentioned immigration there. You've got some moderates saying that they're saying they're scared of the term mass migration. They're calling it inflammatory. You've got some who are saying, well, why don't we align ourselves with the Teals and make more of a centrist party, essentially taking the party more to the left, which, I think that would be a disaster. So what do you do with the moderates? How do you handle this moving forward?
Well, we need to come together as a team. It can't be all one way and not the other. But the battle that's raged inside the Liberal Party now over the course of the last 5 years, I think has been resolved by the uptake in primary vote for One Nation. For too long, this idea that we needed to lurch to the left was gaining some currency, like myself and others were suggesting our real soft underbelly was on our right flank. We're seeing that now with One Nation. And, if some of my colleagues are scared of the phrase mass migration, they need to get out more, quite frankly. They need to go and speak to everyday Australians who are using that term to describe some of the frustrations they're experiencing, whether it's when they're looking to rent a home, when they're going to an auction, when they're lining up for GP services or at the hospital or having trouble enrolling their children in schools. These are the challenges, and we need a suite of policies, including on migration, that speaks directly to Middle Australia. That was the secret sauce that Howard was able to tap into, that Tony Abbott was able to tap into. We can turn this around, but we need the right leadership, we need bold policies, and we need to stick together as a team and sell it as a united force.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And as I was mentioning with the panel just before, right now there's not a lot of options for Conservative voters, and you can understand why One Nation is actually so popular, because the Liberal Party is bleeding voters to One Nation right now. So, look, I mean, we're all watching with bated breath to see what happens. I want to talk to you about Malcolm Turnbull. He's back with his warped 2 cents on the Liberal Party, saying that they've abandoned the political centre and drifted into an ideological la-la land. He's even floated the idea that there should be real competition for centrist voters. Have a listen.
Given that the centre is the political battleground of Australian politics, there really should be some competition there. But I think, regrettably, the Liberal Party and the National Party at the moment are no longer, by their own choice, competing in the centre. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm not about to start one today or announce one today, and I'm not, I'm still a member of the Liberal Party with a large L.
Well, Tony, I don't know if he's looking to announce his own centrist party. I don't know what he's doing, but what's your response to that?
Well, look, I felt a strange force in the building today. I now know why, and hearing those comments. I mean, if Malcolm thinks that the Liberal and National parties have entered some sort of la-la land, the reality is people aren't leaving the Liberal Party because it's lurched too far to the right. People are leaving the Liberal Party because we aren't presenting cogent policies that speak to what they're looking for. I mean, I would have loved to ask Malcolm the question, well, how is it then on your hypothesis that one nation has a primary vote close to twice that on recent news poll of the Liberal and National parties? The truth is we're being deserted, not because we're too right-wing, but because we're not centre-right enough, and we're not releasing policies, discussing policies that respond to the needs and desires of Middle Australia in particular. And I'm sorry, Malcolm, but you probably need to spend a little less time at Point Piper and maybe a bit more time in electorates like mine where people don't live in harbourside mansions.
Yeah, and maybe just stop adding embarrassing commentary in here, there and everywhere. It's just a shocker, really. Tony Pasin, good to have you on. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. Really appreciate it.